Welcome on the News Belt. Let's start with our very first story. The minority in Parliament is challenging President Akufo-Addo's claim that government has done more for roads infrastructure than any other government in our history. Delivering the State of the Nation address, the president said his government had covered more than 10,000 kilometers of roads in just 5 years.
Mr. Speaker, it is in the road sector that we have registered the greatest infrastructure achievement. I know that the word unprecedented is often used with careless abandon in our public discourse, but I use it carefully and purposefully. In the 5 years of my government, so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed in these 5 years. Let me mention, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday it was my honor and great pleasure to have commissioned the Tamale interchange. The first such interchange in the northern sector of our country, which the people of Tamale gladly celebrated. I considered it to be a most satisfying birthday present. We intend to continue with the building of roads around the country to accelerate the opening up of our country.
But the minority is challenging his claim. Here is Ranking Member on the Roads Committee of Parliament, Kwame Agboja.
Which talks about 4,200 kilometers. And he stands in front of the people and says he's constructed 10,000 kilometers. What word will you use to describe the president's comment? No, you help me.
No, you told me. A liar.
The president
He's a liar.
lied.
I mean, he's the president of the state.
The president of the state should be telling the truth. How do you publish this? You publish this, 4,000, and guess what? This includes pothole patching. The only road they've done, apart from Ashanti Valley, is 68 kilometers. Where from the 10,000 kilometers? Mr. President, you wanted us to come together with you, but I don't want to be with you as a liar. You lied, Mr. President. The roads you said you've worked on, not constructed, worked on, which include re-graveling, graveling. Ashanti Valley is only 4,200 kilometers. Mr. President, how do you want the whole country, including pastors, or Konfo Muslims, to be with you in your game of lying? We cannot be with you. You lied about it.
Now, from promises of job creation, tax cuts, and booming crop production made by government ahead of the 2020 polls, the new year has rudely awoken many people to the reality of inevitable austerity. Whether by virtue of external factors like COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine crisis or mismanagement of the economy, the average Ghanaian is carrying the cross. Manuel Granting has been listening to the people's state of the nation. Here's his report.
This is Aboseokai, Ghana's biggest spare parts dealership hub. Millions of dollars are traded in automobile parts here every year. Lately, the business is taking a hit. The dealers are not happy. Now, instead of selling, many of them spend a great deal of time brooding over the situation. This sentiment resonates with a lot more of the dealers at Aboseokai. Eric sells air-conditioned motors here.
Like before, like at least a day I feel sell like 3 or 4. But for now, Maybe the whole week I go first sell like one. If I'm lucky, I sell like two. So if like I did the shopping side, maybe Charlie, I go die. So I for come the road top, come also small, say I go get something.
It's Monday afternoon, but the streets are virtually empty, not crawling with vehicles as they normally did in the past. To make sales, Eric has left his shop some 200 meters away to court clients by the roadside.
Charlie, myself like I did my shop, but as nobody they come, I for come the roadside, come was say I go get some chop money, go house because kid the house. That's why we did the road top. Like by now you no go see me for you. Like I did my shop, customers go call me.
As he explains, the depreciating cedi coupled with high import duties is shooting their prices through the roof. What are the results? Eric explains.
I go, then the burger go talk say no, duty go high, things go high for there. So what's like they take surprise give us 300 no. You go there and you go talk say no, the price change 350 when you are lucky at 350 when somebody go feel also surprise give you 400. So if the person come, maybe you do in budget say this thing I they buy am 300 or 400, but you go come, you go tell him say 500. You go, you no go come again.
And that is Eric's state of the nation. Just a few hundred meters across the street from Aboseokai is a grand Kaneshie market complex. It is one of the biggest market centers in Accra. The story is no different here.
My name is Nadu. I'm selling the tomatoes in the Kaneshie market. My business is not good for me.
Nadu has been selling here for the past 20 years. But she explains this year is uniquely different.
First, when you were home, a bellet mobiane. First, Coco, I ain't been okay. Well, I woke up, I know, I can't know. Go back check it home. Open on what way. Many are well at 10.
The business is not going well. We used to buy from the trucks at 8,000 and 9,000 cedis. Today, it is near 20,000 cedis, and we have to share it on every single tomato we sell in order to make profit. But the customers cannot even buy. It's really difficult for us.
I buy 100 million. 80 million. 200 million. I'm all the come. The 200 million. Next can go fair, but you are come. Nico and Oyajame, about pay board Ashka. A fear no bache, what pay board, Abai Bushka. The fair flat one.
The state of her business is what occupies her mind as she listens to the president's address. From the busy streets of Kaneshie, I have come to the serene Legon campus of the University of Ghana. Even here, the serenity of the landscape is not telling on the mood of students and lecturers. I meet Dr. Samuel Nkumban. He's the president of the local chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. For 6 straight weeks, Dr. Nkumban and his colleagues boycotted the lecture halls in demand of better conditions of service. They are back to the classroom, albeit reluctantly.
I'm not sure anybody is sufficiently happy with the conditions in which we work as members of UTAG, given particularly so that our workload has increased over the years, that when the regulatory responsibility on me as somebody who teaches in humanities is supposed to be 75 students per class, and I'm supposed to teach maximum 3 classes, which would imply that 75 times 3. And I have a class that already subsumes over 1,000% of that. And yet I don't get any extra for doing that extra job. And so if lecturers are asking and calling for improved conditions of service, nobody since our engagement has said it was out of place.
Even as that struggle continues, there's more trouble looming.
Government has made those pronouncements before in seeking to win, especially the larger University of Ghana, KNUST and UCC of subvention. Frankly, I'm not confident in the system because of the experiences of having made promises of what has to be done, what I want to do, and not doing them. And
Let's talk now about matters affecting teachers, and the newly elected leadership of the Ghana National Association of Teachers is asking for support from its members to enable it deliver on its mandate. NAT President Reverend Isaac Owusu says a united membership would enable the association to withstand any form of setbacks as it strives to better the lot of teachers in the country. He was speaking at separate meetings with members during a tour of the Volta and Oti regions.
The tour allowed the newly elected executives to familiarize themselves with the membership base of the Ghana National Association of Teachers in the Oti and Volta regions. Separate meetings were held in the districts where members were debriefed on the decisions taken at this year's Congress in Kumasi. The NAT president, Reverend Isaac Owusu, wants members to rally behind the executives.
If we remain united, no government, no authority can trample over us. But if we remain divided, when officers declare action and our followers are staying in this classroom, there is no way we can make any impact. So that is why we are here this afternoon seeking for your support. Please, don't sit on the fence. Don't sit on the fence. Yes, as leaders, we admit that we have challenges in our association. But together, we can surmount every mountain ahead of us. We want to assure you that as your newly elected officers, we are ready to serve you. So you should also be ready to give us your support. And above all, you remember us in your prayers.
The General Secretary, Thomas Musa, said the leadership is poised to work in the best interest of the members and improve on policies being implemented. He also implored them to trust the executives.
I can assure you that the people that you have elected, they are people of integrity and they are protecting the best. Let us trust them. We have the best auditors around. We have the Einstein Young working with us. Now we have the KPMG. I hope you heard about KPMG, the kind of challenges we had and all those things. Because they were on us that, look, these things ought to be done, this must be done, and this must be done. You have also heard about the people, the people that we are working with, they are people that are well established. They are well-accomplished people. They have their integrity and reputation to protect.
The executives took turns to answer questions on salary increment, promotion, responsibility allowance, pension scheme, the cancer fund, NAT housing scheme, and one teacher, one laptop policy. The NAT national headquarters presented 20 life jackets to be used by members in riverine communities and 5,000 Ghana cedis to an ailing member, all in the Oti region. Some 3 bags of flour, 4 cartons of tomato paste, and a water tank were presented to the Hohwe School of the Blind and Deaf. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews.
Now, a lecturer at the Computer Engineering Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Emmanuel Akowua, is calling for a study to trace the financial data of the citizenry to make taxation effective. His call comes on the back of government's efforts to shore up taxation revenues through the passage of the E-levy bill. Professor Akowua believes the data individuals leave in the system can be stitched together to build a tax profile to tax people efficiently instead of having a flat tax. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with him for Tech Thursday.
Professor Akowua believes the intervention can be exploited to solve most of the country's challenges with tax traceability.
Even if the person does not want to pay tax, and you give the person cash. So I'll give you an example. Mr. A is a mechanic. He's worked on your car. The job is 5,000. And he says he wants cash. So nobody will be there. You withdraw the money and give it to him. Now, withdrawing the money, a certain transaction has been recorded in your name. Then, as you've taken the cash, you are going to give it to him, right? So you give him the cash. He takes the cash. He can decide that he doesn't want anybody to see, so he will not put it in any digital channel. But the interesting thing is that money is as useful to you as the value, and that is when you start spending. So the moment he starts spending, so he spends 1,000 cedis to buy something else. The recipient of that money will either put it in a Momo account, or he would also receive it and want to buy something. So all these transactions will now have traces to individuals. And these traces will become income or expenditure one way or the other. Because all the channels of storage will now be clearly traceable to human beings. So what it means is that over a period of time, given the technology deployment that we would use, we can make available all these data, stitch them together, and then be able to know that, Mr. A, your income profile is this, and therefore your tax profile should be this. This is your address. Your phone number is that. So GRA can easily come after you if they want to. If they don't want to come after you, we have your digital channels. We can start deducting using, dynamic tariffs. So if your income bracket is that, next time you make Momo transactions, we can start deducting dynamically based on your income profile. This is only possible because of the data which we have made available due to the fundamentals that we are building. So then we will not need to burden everybody with a kind of average tax, or people will not have to be paying double taxes, because no matter what you do, we will know your income. On the other side, when we need to roll out social interventions and you want to benefit, and here it might be controversial, so let me say free SHS. So I take my son to school. So as I fill the forms, they ask the parents to put in their national ID. The moment I put in my national ID, automatically, based on my income, expenditure pattern, and from all sources, the system can easily know whether I'm in a particular band or not, and whether I qualify for a particular state intervention or not. So straight away, even though we are not truthful, we have put in place a system that can, reduce abuse of social, interventions.
Well, thank you for staying with us for the news review. We'll be getting into them with Selon Branty of Imani Africa. As and when he joins us, we'll have that conversation with him. But let's get into the papers. And of course, the Sona takes up quite a bit of the headlines this morning. Interesting, though. You saw that piece we put out, the report by Manuel Kranting, my colleague. It would be interesting to find out what your state of the nation is. Yesterday, following on social media, for example, I noticed a lot of you saying different things, manifold things. So what is your state of the nation? You can share with us on social media. The stream is live now. Share with us with the hashtag AMShow on JoyNews. What is your state of the nation? We've heard from those in Abosokai, some people from the streets, some people at the University of Ghana. What is your state of the nation? But the Daily Graphic this morning says, "Nation looks up to us," Bagbin tells Parliament. That is on pages 32 and 33 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. There's also, Sona doesn't reflect hardships. That's according to the minority. Let me get to that bit. It's on page 16 of the newspaper. And it says The minority in parliament has described the president's State of the Nation address as not reflecting the true hardships and suffering facing Ghanaians presently, seconding the motion for the House to adjourn after the president had delivered the Sona on the floor of parliament. The minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, said, with the rising cost of living that had affected the prices of fuel, foodstuffs and services, the president downplayed the harsh reality of the Ghanaian economy during his address. And I'm quoting him here, per the Daily Graphic. We expected the president to deliver the true State of the Nation address, which would reflect the growing hardships and sufferings of Ghanaians, he said. And it goes on to say that Mr. Idrisu said, regrettably, the president did not have the confidence to talk about the economy. So he is continuing with his promises and slogans, but as a constitutional imperative, we, the minority, are ready to debate our majority counterparts and prove a credible alternative government, or provide, I think the word should have been, a credible alternative government. Again, I ask you, what is your state of the nation? What is the picture? But responding to some of these concerns, Mr. Afenyo Markin added that the president demonstrated competence and capacity to be able to resolve the issues that confronted the nation. Quoting him, he says, "For me, the main issue is that he came to Parliament to deliver the State of the Nation address, not to do propaganda," Mr. Afenyo Markin, who is also the MP for Efutu, said. So two different opinions. It's almost so clear, crystal clear, when you look at our Parliament. On most issues, you can determine where they'll lean. And so we can jump out of the fray of MPP and NDC and come to you out there, regardless of how you voted in 2020, 2024. What is your state of the nation? What Mr. President said, is it reflective of how you feel on a daily basis in your pocket? Those are the matters to consider. Now, there's First African Heads ILO. That's also a major issue. It's on page 16 as well. A former Prime Minister of Togo, Gilbert Ungbo, has been elected the 11th Director General of the International Labour Organization and will become the first African to lead the United Nations agency. After 2 rounds of voting, the ILO's governing body elected the 61-year-old to succeed the British trade unionist Guy Ryder, who steps down as Director General at the end of September after 10 years at the helm of affairs. And congratulations are in order for Gilbert Ungbo, if you want to go the purely French way of pronouncing his name. Let's push together against challenges. President rallies citizenry. Lord's NPP NDC for 4th Republican journey. Let's take a quick look at that as well. All of that from yesterday. And President Akufo-Addo has called on all Ghanaians to pull and push together to overcome the economic challenges facing the country. There are many problems that we have to overcome, quoting him, to get back to where we ought to be. I need your support. No president, no parliament, no government can undertake this task all by themselves. We need all Ghanaians to pull and push together, he added. He said the road to recovery from the economic challenges would be hard and long, but the job could be done with the support of all. On a more conciliatory note, the president, who was in a snow-white shirt, a blue-black suit and a tie to match, arrived at the precincts of Parliament at about 10 a.m. He was welcomed, ushered in by Speaker Kingsford Alban Sumana Bagbin in the company of the majority and minority leaders of the House. He touched on many things: Russia, Ukraine, and the crisis and how it has impacted us, the economy, COVID-19, and more. We'll get into some of the nitty-gritty later on the show. But on the back of the E-levy, for example, has it really been passed? That is a big question now. The minority has said that it is taking it up in Parliament, at the Supreme Court, the Apex Court, and that it is hoping, it is sure, the Supreme Court will rule in their favor and denounce what happened a few days ago, because the number of 138 was not present at the time. That is half the membership of Parliament. But we've also heard from some other members, in fact, a former member of Parliament on the NDC side, who says, no, this is actually what should have happened. It's okay. It passes. So we'll see what the details are. In the meantime, we've seen people sharing on social media about how they're going to try to escape the E-levy because, of course, they know that if I don't transact in certain ways, I will not have to pay the tax or the levy or the penalty. Only time will tell what exactly will pan out of this at 1.5%. But let me now bring in Selom Brantier, who generously joins us for another review. Selom, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. How about you?
Not bad.
Okay, it's good you say not bad. I love your smile. Each time I introduce you, the smile, the beam, in fact, on your face when you join us every Thursday morning. Thank you. So what is your quick reaction to the Sona? I was just talking about it from the Daily Graphic. So you can put together the Sona and the E-levy because that too has passed, awaiting the assent of the president, while some say they're taking it to court and it has not in fact passed. E-levy and yesterday's Sona, and how reflective it was of the real situation for you.
Yeah, so I listened in on the Sona. To be honest, I wasn't really impressed with a lot of things. I don't think the president addressed a lot of issues that were related to the actual state of the nation. I think it was just only concentrated on just a small aspect of what the state of the nation is.
Right.
And there weren't a lot of reassurances about, how people were going to lift up their livelihoods. I didn't think I heard a lot about, let's say, areas like agriculture, for instance, which is going to be very crucial, especially in the wake of the crisis and all. All in all, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, it was a very tepid state of the nation address. I don't think it did much to reassure some of us. Beyond that, if you want to look at the E-levy, it was quite obvious that the government was hell-bent on passing the E-levy, in spite of the fact that this year might be one of the hardest years, probably, we are going to have in terms of the socioeconomic situation since the creation of the Fourth Republic. There are quite a lot of looming threats to our livelihoods, which need to be looked at and addressed. And this passing of the E-levy is not going to be that panacea that is going to solve any major problems. What I personally do believe is that this E-levy is just going to be collateralized for some further debt, which you and I and your fellow viewers are going to pay in the short to medium term. And they are going to be used for flagship projects or to continue flagship projects that do not have any direct return on investment, for which some of these loans are being incurred. So for me, it is still bleak because what it basically means is that we are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but Peter has to pay probably a huge amount of interest whilst being robbed for the quantity that he's being robbed for. It is very sad that we have reached this point. If the government believes that this is the way in which it can really address any problems by still padding on spending that's unproductive and then taxing us for it, and also shooting themselves in the foot by pushing the digitization agenda, because in one of the biggest areas where cashless financial transactions would have taken place was through our digital wallets. But by imposing this tax, I think that all the gains over the last 5 years are going to be reversed. And we are going to go to a point where, unless it's absolutely necessary, a lot of people would not be remitting monies. And of course, because of inflation and the dollar and all of that, that threshold of 100 cedis, for example, does not work logically because 100 cedis can barely buy you 2 gallons of fuel. So which means that If I go to the fuel station, for example, to fill up some fuel in my car, I buy 100 cedis of fuel. It's just a trip to town and back, and that's the truth. Even for those who drive small saloon cars, that's the truth. So it means that literally every transaction now is going to handle this tax, in addition to the huge tax burden that we have already.
What do you think about some people, and I've seen the likes of Manasseh Azure Awene post that, hey, henceforth I'm going to do more cash, and other people will talk to you and say, okay, so if I have to pay someone, I'm not going to pay upfront like 500 cedis. I can spread it over a week and just explain to the person that I'm going to do this. Is that patriotic, especially considering the economic times we find ourselves in? The point is that, like it or not, we have a government and they must find money from somewhere to run the affairs of the state. But the other end of the conversation is, what have you done so far with my taxpayers' money? How do you weigh the two? How do you reconcile them?
I don't think trying to avoid the E-levy tax should be labeled as unpatriotic in any way. We would all want to avoid any extra expense if we can have the dispensation too, and it doesn't make anybody less patriotic than the other. It's just making someone more prudent in terms of the way he or she handles their transactions. And the truth be told, that is what is going to happen. There's going to be a little reversal to a more cash-based transactions. You see, when those of us in Accra sit in our ivory towers and make decisions and take a lot of things for granted, these are some of the issues that happen. Imagine, for example, if you go to even hospitals in areas around Accra, Kaswa and the rest, you're not even going into the hinterlands. You will see how people struggle to pay hospital bills of even 100 cedis. And we are talking lots of people. This is not just maybe 1 in 100 or something. In fact, about 80 over 100 people. Even paying small bills of that amount is hard. Now imagine they have to pay a bill and then somebody has to send them the money. And then that person is taxed, and then they are paying the bill and are also taxed, especially via mobile money, because that's how people get money for emergencies these days. So this means that a lot of these things are going to stop, and then people are going to start finding ways to actually handle everything through cash transactions. We are going to revert to a point where some people will insist that if you come to my shop, don't pay by Momo. If you pay by Momo, I won't accept.
Right.
And quite a lot of us...
Because the people know that if you pay by Momo, there will be deductions later on, and they want to avoid that.
Exactly.
Right.
And that is what is going to happen at a lot of vendors where paying by Momo has become the norm. It is going to happen, and it's quite unfortunate that we have decided to shoot ourselves in the foot just to try and sort of balance something or the other. I think this is a decision the government will come to regret very badly, and it even makes it poor optics when yesterday, for example, I saw a video in the evening that some people were dancing and saying it was the E-levy dance, and they were rejoicing over it. I mean, that is in extremely bad taste, and whoever thought that it was beautiful to do that will live to regret it. Not because anybody is going to, let me just issue a disclaimer, not because anybody is going to issue violence against that person, because these days when you are talking, if you don't take time, somebody will come and misconstrue your words. They will live to regret it because it was politically wrong to do something like that. At a time when we need humility to look at how we will challenge the nation's resources. At a point where we need unity, where each and every one of us has to do their little bit and sacrifice. It is horrible to see the visuals of people dancing and calling something an E-levy dance, when we know that we are overtaxing, overburdening Ghanaians who are already suffering under the huge burden of inflation and the current world crisis. And we haven't even talked about the fact that this crisis is even escalating to the point where it's going to affect our food security, as well as other aspects of our agricultural output. And we are still going to impose extra levies, and we are dancing and we are rejoicing about it, when the common man has not seen salary reviews and is struggling to figure out how they can even manage their homes. So I think that we have to be very careful, and those in power and those who make decisions have to be very careful about how they appear in public and the kinds of things they do in public, because it's going to have repercussions on them.
All right. Let's quickly get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. There's a story on the back page. It has to do with the Black Stars, but I'll save that for later. Let's look at two stories tied to what we are talking about. Three, if you like. So Sona message, not true reflection. That's according to the minority. You have said that it was very tapered for you. President Akufo-Addo touts infrastructure achievements. That's the first thing I would put together. And then State of the Nation address, economic measures will address challenges. That's according to Mr. President. Let's do the story on page 15. So the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says his administration has built more roads than any government in Ghana's history within a 5-year period. Delivering a message on the State of the Nation to Parliament yesterday, the President said the road sector was where his government had recorded its greatest infrastructure achievement. And I'm quoting him here, Selim. He says, in the 5 years of my government so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any other equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. He talks about 10,875 kilometers of new roads, which had been constructed in a period of 5 years. I want you to touch on that briefly. From the policy point of view, where you sit and how you feel about this, the reality of it from what you see going around the country, and also tie it into the president saying that economic measures, their economic measures, the recent ones, I don't think we've got to speak on them, will address the country's economic challenges. Put these two together if you can. You can start with the infrastructure achievements.
Yeah, on paper, there are a lot of these infrastructure achievements. There are 2 or 3 caveats to that. We should not gloat about the fact that we have so many roads when the major Eastern Corridor Road is still not fully complete. That's one, because then that would have really eased the cost of, let's say, post-harvest losses, as well as the cost of pulling in agricultural produce from the hinterlands on the eastern side of the country, and would have also been very, very beneficial to food security. That's one. 2, a lot of these roads, there are issues related to the quality of the roads along the line, where we have had several complaints about either contractors not concentrating on these issues. Apart from the big flagship ones, which are the interchanges, of course, most of the other secondary and tertiary routes do not seem to have been constructed well. And even a lot of the contractors for some of these roads have not even been paid for over 3, 4, 5 years now. These are issues that we need to address, because if we had had the complement of the payment of the contractors for a lot of these roads, even that would have boosted economic activity in the country. So it is a hollow thing, one, to say that you have built so many roads when you owe a huge percentage of the contractors, and a lot of them are very, very dissatisfied about the fact that even for years now, a lot of their contracts have not been paid for. And if I'm sure that being a news team, you would have heard some of these things, or you have heard some of these sentiments. And it does not speak well that you are gloating about the roads, and at the same time, the people who build the roads, who spend their money to build these roads, have not been paid for the roads.
Right.
For the economic measures, like I said earlier, yes, a few of them, like the cutting of the pay and then the 20% reduction in budget, etc. We've seen it, but we've not been able to establish the actual quantum of what is going to be removed, or what cost areas are going to be cut. That's one. We do not know whether some of these areas are actually priority areas that would have actually brought in a lot more productivity into the system.
Right.
There is no mechanism that has been put out there to say that, to benchmark some of these expenditure cuts that have been announced. There is no monitoring mechanism for us to see exactly what is going to be done. Even for the fuel coupons, it is just a pronouncement. We do not have any idea, for example, about how the benchmark is, whether they are going to publish anything of that sort. So until some of us see a lot of these things on the ground, it will take it as the show going on.
All right. Let's look at the Daily Guide newspaper. It talks about some of the matters we've already looked at, but it has this one in there, football age over. And it was interesting hearing the president talk about that. On the back of the Ghana card, the National Identification Authority's work, among others, and digitalization. He's saying all of these things will soon be over. How do you react? What's your quick reaction to that?
Yeah, it's very important because data is now the new gold. Once we have the best, most accurate data about people, especially their bio data for important national activity, it will then become very beneficial for us when we are doing things like planning, when we are trying to allocate certain resources or pay certain people, things like that. So I am all for the fact that we should have better insight into the kind of people, into the people, the demographic structure of the country. And digitalization is one of the things that makes these things possible. So I am all for these kinds of activities that ensure that we have more accurate data on people.
Right.
I mean, it reduces fraud and it ensures that there is more certainty in terms of when planning is done and as to the target people that the planning is going to offer value to. So I think in all, it cuts a lot of costs for the nation when we have very clear ideas of people not being easily able to sort of manipulate their biodata.
Right.
And I think it has a huge advantage. Yes, it does.
Let's wrap the conversation, Selom, with two quick stories. 17.7 billion Ghana cedis spent on containing COVID-19 so far. That's in the Find the newspaper. Just to give you a bit of detail in there, the president said that data from the Ministry of Finance shows that 17.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 4.6% of our GDP, has so far been spent in containing the COVID-19 pandemic, if you like, since 2020. According to him, the road to recovery from the many economic challenges fueled by the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war will be hard and long. Your quick reaction to that as you add your thoughts concerning the qualification of the Black Stars for Qatar 2022. So the first bit, and we can wrap, maybe in a minute and a half for both.
Sure. I think that the 17.7 billion on the COVID response and associated activity has left a lot of room for doubt and speculation because there are so many aspects of that expense sheet that if we really put to scrutiny, we would realize that it ended up not in places that had nothing to do with COVID at all. It is like I said, it's also one of these things where there has been very poor visibility, very poor transparency, and very poor accountability. So, of course, anyone could pick up any expense and then put it on the COVID expense tab.
Right.
And I think that these are some of the issues that have come up that some of us are not very impressed about because when there are emergency situations like this and there is no clear path to accountability, there's the huge tendency for those who are in the chain of decision making to actually abuse the system and abuse it very well. Okay. And we believe that that has been the case with the COVID-19 funds. I'm sure that posterity in future, when we have the chance to really do a forensic study of some of these expenditures that have been listed, a lot of things to come to light that will not be palatable. But on a better note, for some of us, we believe in the Ghana project in terms of the Black Stars. It is one point where the nation gets unified in a way. And so for us, for me, I was very excited. I was watching the game and I was just very positive about the chance of the Black Stars. It looks like it is one aspect of our story that possibly has been one of the most positive things. Looking at what happened in the AFCON, and then what has happened now, we all feel some kind of renaissance, that there's these ambassadors that we've got are probably better in terms of what we believed our potential could be.
Right.
And I think all eyes on Qatar. If I had money, I would also even go and cheer them on. Because, in fact, it doesn't matter even whether we get out at the group stage or we're able to hit the semifinals.
The point is we made it.
Yeah, the fact that we made it in terms of, in spite of all the odds, and the fact that we have a new team and new people that we can be excited about, the Jikus, the Odois, etc., the Walakots. I think it's something that Ghana needs. A new set of heroes taken out from the Asians and the Mutaris of old. So for us, I mean, for all of us, I think it's a great thing, yeah.
Exciting times and exciting catching up with you again, Salom. And I wish you the very best of the day. You say you're not faring too badly. I hope it continues that way and your day is even better. Salom Brantier there, policy analyst with Himani Africa. But on that sporting note, we veer into sports. There's more coming your way. Up next. Stay.
And the success of the Black Stars securing a ticket to the World Cup continued to reverberate across the entire country, especially in the Jubilee House when the team paid a visit to the president on Wednesday night after arriving from Abuja. Well, the president has made a special commitment to the team and has asked the Ghana Football Association to maintain the technical team for the Qatar World Cup. And the former captain of the Black Stars, Stephen Appiah, has also been speaking. He's been praising the boys, and there were also Ghana Premier League matches where Accra House of Oak were held to 0-0 stalemate, and their head coach, Samuel Boyde, has been speaking. We've got these and many more here on AM Sports with me, Muftawa Nabila Abda. But we'll start with Jubilee House, where President Akufo-Addo has urged the Ghana Football Association to maintain the current technical team of the Black Stars, led by Otto Addo, after they defeated Nigeria over 2 legs to book their place in the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Nana, who was speaking when the team paid a courtesy call on him at a Jubilee House, said Keto Kweku and his team should ensure that there is proper investment in ensuring that Ghana has a good performance in the World Cup. There's more in this report by my colleague, Benai Elom.
The Black Stars arrived in an open-top bus at the Jubilee House on Wednesday, March 30. The team was at the seat of government on the invitation of President Nana Akufo-Addo after beating Nigeria to Qatar 2022 tickets. The Black Stars returned to Accra on Wednesday dawn after their gallant performance against Nigeria in Abuja. Upon their return, President Akufo-Addo invited the team to the Jubilee House on Wednesday afternoon to acknowledge their efforts. Speaking at the gathering, President of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kweku, thanked the president for his support and promised that the team will make an impression in Qatar.
On behalf of the football fraternity, we thank you so much for the support. We thank you for the belief. We thank you for the investment you're making. And we believe that this victory will be the needed impetus for you to even invest more in domestic football. And I know that this is nothing for the showboy. To my colleagues in the media, yes, you've been there for us. You've supported us all the way. I'm grateful for all the support, but this is just the beginning. Qatar is the next stop. And we will go to Qatar and make an impression like we've never done.
Head coach of the national team, Otto Addo, says he is happy to lead Ghana to a 4th World Cup appearance.
It's a great honor for us to be here. For me, it's even, very special. More special than the game yesterday because we were not really prepared, or I'm not really prepared. Thank you very much, Mr. Kweku, for your kind words. A little bit too much, I think, but it's okay. I take it. I won't make it long. I think enough is said. Surely everybody's happy. We qualified for the World Cup. This was our aim. And we're looking forward for it.
Akufo-Addo urged the GFA to confirm the appointment of the Otto Addo-led technical team following their success in Abuja.
I'm hoping that the technical team that has been put together for these 2 matches will at least take us through the World Cup itself. I told the coach, the head coach, that he ought to be careful when he came to Ghana. He might likely be kidnapped here I will make it difficult for him to go back to Germany and to Dortmund. That we want him here. But I would, Mr. Okreku, whatever you can do to make sure that the team stays together, at least until Qatar. Then afterwards we can take the long-term decisions. The reason is that a situation whereby Arsenal, Tottenham, and everybody is together in one arrangement. That's a formidable arrangement. Tottenham is very well represented here, both here and here. And oh yes, the Vice President. The Vice President is also a strong supporter of the cockerel of Spurs. So let's keep together. And the hunger, the desire, the determination that we saw in Kumasi, that we saw again yesterday, keep together. And out of it, I know something even greater is in the future for us.
Ghana will know their group opponent on Friday, April 1, when the draw takes place in Doha, Qatar.
It will be interesting to see what the GFA president and his executive council will do following the comments from the president, because Otto Addo's agreement expires today. The agreement he had with the Ghana Football Association was for 2 months, February and March, paid $15,000, $30,000 for the 2 matches. Would they maintain him after the president have asked them to do so? Well, only time would tell. But we are expecting an announcement of Chris Hughton as the head coach of the Black Stars. Now let's hear from former captain of the senior national team, Stephen Appiah, the man who qualified Ghana to its first ever World Cup in Germany 2006 in a tournament where Otto Addo was part of. He's been heaping praises on the boys for scaling the hurdle of the Super Eagles.
I was very, very tense, and that reminds me when we played against South Africa at the FMB Stadium, when we beat them 2-0. Michael Essien and Matthew Amua scored a goal. And when we played against Cape Verde, all my career I've never played a game under pressure. I see. From local Accra support, from the national team in Europe, I've never played under pressure. But that particular game was the last game that would qualify us to Germany, and I play under. I mean, I was so tense. I couldn't even have my breakfast, no lunch. Match day, you are somebody who would be talking to us, who would try to ginger us. But I look as if today you are very, very quiet. And I told them that actually today the match has dawned on me, and that's the same thing today. When I was watching the game, I was thinking about these guys, and I knew what they were going through. And playing at Abuja with 60,000 fans, yes, with the Eagles fans, it's not going to be easy. We got an early goal. I was a little bit, it was too early. Yeah. But you know, I mean, when you have the chance, you have to. But they tried, and I think he got it right. And you have like 70 minutes to end up the game. They equalized, but the way the penalty came, I was a little bit, what is going to happen here? We have to be careful, because these people, they can do anything to win this game. I mean, it's the last game to go to the World Cup. This opportunity to congratulate the coach and the technical team. I think they have done so well. To gather the boys for 3 days or 4 days to put that performance, I think that they have done so well. And Nathaniel, listen, I'm so happy, because standing there, I'm putting myself into their shoes. I'm recollecting when we were hoping to go to our first World Cup and we qualified. And these guys, I think that 95% of them, or maybe all of them, they haven't been to the World Cup before. I mean, Jordan and 1 or 2. And these are the guys today. I don't know how they will feel. I mean, if they should ride a bicycle to come back to Accra, or they should take Uber. I mean, I'm just imagining how the dressing room looks like now. And let me say kudos to Ghanaians for their support. Kumasi was massive, and today, I mean, every house you can see that everybody has gathered and they to cheer the Black Stars, and then because they have made us proud.
And talking of Kumasi being massive for the Black Stars in the first leg of the World Cup qualifier against the Super Eagles at the Bawaya Sports Stadium. We're going to Kumasi right now and hear some reaction from the fans who had thrown their weight behind the senior national team to secure a ticket to Qatar.
I feel very proud as a Ghanaian. I was actually very excited because after a poor symbolic performance at AFCON, all hope was lost in this Black Stars. Ghanaians actually lost hope in this Black Stars, and to go all the way to Abuja to get that vital away point that qualifies us to the World Cup. I think all the boy deserves all applause, especially Otuado, because the 3 changes that he made during the first half, that he brought in Kofi Chere, Elisha Wusu, as well as Andy Yadom, to cut the channel of supplies of the Nigerians. I think that did a trick for Ghana yesterday, and I think the coach deserves all applause.
I think it's great news that Ghana has qualified for the World Cup, knowing that very well lots of Ghanaians were not happy during the day, that after the approval of the E-levy and everything, Ghana Black Stars made us happy, and we're all looking forward to going to Qatar. And I think the biggest happiness I'm getting is the fact that we didn't win any of the matches, but we sent the Nigerians home, and that's great news for us. So now we're looking forward to how everything unfolds. We hope there's less drama in this year's World Cup, the picking of the squad and everything. So generally, I think the aura in Ghana is good. Yesterday, you could clearly see it. People were happy in their offices. People were just celebrating all around. So Black Stars has made us happy. Otuado has made us happy. Yeah, we are good to go.
Oh, as a Ghanaian, I'm so excited. I'm really excited about what happened yesterday, last night, I mean. And it's kind of amazing. The feeling is great. Like, to be part of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, it's a great feeling to be a Ghanaian right now. Yes, we're very, very much under pressure during the first half, but the technical team of the Black Stars did an excellent job with their substitution and all that. And then we know going forward, if they hand over the job to them, we are optimistic they will do great.
And which countries would you want the Black Stars to join for the group stages of the FIFA World Cup as FIFA hosts the draw on Friday? Let's take a look at the countries that have qualified to the Mundial for 2022. That will be staged in Qatar. We have Qatar itself, which is the host nation, Germany, Denmark, France, Belgium, Croatia, Spain, Serbia, England. The big boys are going to the big stage where everyone matters. And Switzerland, Netherlands, Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, Uruguay, Iran, South Korea, Japan. And South Korea and Japan continue to dominate Asian football, and as they always participate in the FIFA World Cup. There's Saudi Arabia, there's Canada, Poland, Portugal, Senegal. Senegal, they qualified after beating Egypt via penalty shootout once again, just as they did to them during the African Cup of Nations. There's Ghana, there's Morocco, there's Tunisia, there is Cameroon. And the interesting thing is that Senegal, Ghana, Tunisia and Cameroon were coached by indigenous coaches. They have qualified their various countries to the FIFA World Cup that will stage in Qatar later this year. And many people are saying, give the local man an opportunity to lead his national team and he would do it. So the countries are here. We've got about 4 more to go or 5 more to go as the teams will assemble for the competition. Now let's do Ghana Premier League football, where Accra Hearts of Oak, they were held to a 0-0 stalemate by Brekum Chelsea on March day 22 of the Ghana Premier League. And their head coach Samuel Boedu, he's been speaking. He says he wanted to pick all maximum points, but walking away with a point is good enough.
Yeah, Massa, you Pedro, you 3 points. But I'm saying with the game plan, which the way our game we see corner, at least it means 1 point. Though, and yeah, they say 1 point, but you bet fast half points no net me Apple Pay your next match aka.
A game I was struggling here, and I'm sure has so far the kind of passes I am about, the kind of opportunities I'm creating. It's the first time I may want to focus Bobo in the second half. No shot on target. Are you worried, Kaka?
Yeah, I'm worried, but kakra me can say it depends the nature of the game and the pitch itself. Until I have no ball control cry at the mind. Until one strategize and me and no first to the ball. I'm meeting ball, and that's all I say. Over Nyabu try control a pass. I won't say one can call the wrong direction. Though worried say yentimi and shoot it from far. But when the control comes, I won't say the direction of the ball. We not ball no ye until my shooting no, and so I have a problem with mine.
Let's take a look at the results and fixtures of the Ghana Premier League. Hearts of Oak were held to a 0-0 stalemate in their game, while there were wins for the likes of Elmina Sharks. Dreams FC were held to a 0-0 stalemate by Bechim United. Ediana Stars drew 1-1 against Legon Cities. Brekum Chelsea 0, Hearts of Oak 0. Great Olympics 2, Wafa 2. Ashanti Gold 4, Real Tamale United 0, and Elmina Sharks 2, 11 Wonders 0. On Thursday, it's Accra Lions versus Bibiani Gold Stars. Asante Kotoko, they will play under floodlights against Kaola United, whilst Midiama SC will also come up against Kim Faisal. And on this note, we wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. You can head on to my joyonline.com and read some more sports stories as we continue to talk about the success of the Black Stars qualifying to the FIFA World Cup. AM Show continues right after this.
Well, thank you for staying with us on the AM show. We get into our big stories at this point in time. We're going to be focusing on yesterday's Sona as delivered by His Excellency the President, as well as the E-levy, which recently was passed into law. Of course, it awaits the assent of Mr. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. On the other hand, the minority is saying this is not going to happen, that this is not procedurally speaking, it wasn't the right things were not done. We've heard from the Member of Parliament for Efutu and Deputy Majority Leader who has also said that no, in fact, this matter is dead on arrival. What is going to happen to the E-levy? And for you out there, are you willing to pay so that our country can be developed as we've been told? Well, we get into the details with Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakbo, Member of Parliament for South Dai, together with Dr. Kingsley Nyako, Member of Parliament for Kwa Daso. Also share your thoughts with us on social media with the hashtag AMShow. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning, my brother.
Good morning.
And let me use the opportunity once more, customarily, to greet my people in Peki, Bali, Beve, especially the Degan of Peki, Easter beckons.
Easter beckons,
and
right?
He sent me a very long program on Easter.
I see.
The guy will be there.
Right, right. Doc,
yeah,
maybe you want to say something to your constituents as well?
Yeah.
Just
so
to
I want to greet them, and I want to tell them that I love them. They've made me what I am today, so I'm grateful to them. I wish them all the best too.
UCC didn't make you what you are today.
Oh, I mean, being a member of Parliament. So you want me to go to the park, to
where we were,
yeah, I'll
to where we began.
Too. Yeah.
What was the last time either of you was in your constituency? Let me start with you.
I think
when last were you there?
I was there over the weekend. I go there almost every weekend.
Every weekend?
Almost every weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm only asking the question for a reason. The State of the Nation address has been delivered. Yeah. When you speak to your people, what is the state of the nation for them, the state of their pockets, and the state of the economy? What have they been sharing with you?
Oh, okay. You know, the Sona was delivered yesterday.
So let's start from your constituency. I want to hear what people, when you go there, what do they tell you about the state of their situation, the national picture for them?
You mean before the president delivered the Sona yesterday? Or?
So you were there before the president delivered the Sona, right?
Yeah, so I came to Accra on Tuesday. I was there over the weekend. At that time, the president had not delivered the state of the nation.
Good. So my point being, it's not necessarily the Sona. We'll get to talk about the Sona. Yeah. But what have people, the last time you went, were they telling you about the state of their affairs, economically and beyond?
Oh, but obviously there are issues, and constituents everywhere, including those from Kwadaso, have issues regarding the economic well-being, issues regarding price hikes, fuel price hikes and all that.
Right.
I mean, and they also understand perfectly that all these were consummated within the chaotic global environment. So they are not blaming the government, nor the president. They think that what we are going through right now was something that was triggered by events that were external to us and not the doing of the government. I mean,
Okay.
so they appreciate that well. And
So they are feeling the pinch, but they know that it is not because this government has been remiss in terms of doing what it must.
Yeah.
It's just the global situation.
Yeah, everybody, or most people are feeling the brunt of what is happening. I mean, Ghana and everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, what of your constituents? When was the last time?
That was last week. In fact, I go back to Accra Monday evening.
Okay.
I didn't risk leaving on Tuesday morning. You could be pulled over and a policeman will say that you were overspeeding. And before Jack, you are running into problems with road traffic offenses and you wouldn't be in Parliament. So I risk leaving at night and get to
Is that something that has happened to you before?
Oh, yes.
It's happened to you before?
Yes, and
road traffic, flouting road traffic regulations.
Yes, they will say that you were overspeeding and you see a pickup in front of you flashing the blue and red light and another behind you and you are ensconced in the middle. Why? You were overspeeding. And that's it. You cannot talk your way out to freedom. So, yes, but essentially my people are truly averse to E-levy. Yesterday was not a joke for me. I didn't have it easy. In fact, the night before yesterday and yesterday, it was difficult. We tried to explain the circumstances.
When you say it was difficult?
Yes, they don't appreciate the fact that E-levy has been passed.
Right.
They simply can't appreciate it, that it's been passed, and that they will bear the brunt of the things we have spoken about that they will bear. And what happened to our numbers and all. And I told them that, for instance, on that 40th day of Tuesday,
right,
the honorable member for Asen North had to be in court.
Interestingly,
in two matters. The High Court, which is the criminal matter, and the Supreme Court matter, on the same day. Somehow. And
but by saying this, are you reading meaning into it?
No. I'm just saying, somehow.
Because it was the same day on which the E-levy.
Thank you. Because you see, we've been warning them that don't surprise us. You came to Parliament to say that let's take E-levy and the certificate of urgency as far back as December 15th. And so by December 20th, the report from the Finance Committee had been ready and brought to Parliament and laid. What was outstanding was the debate.
Right.
Okay. The taking of the report and the debate. And that took this government nearly 4 months to do. So if you recall, every Friday when business statements are submitted and I don't see E-levy featuring, I'll be on my feet and practically crying. That bring the E-levy, we are ready to debate. So don't surprise us. Last Friday, this matter was raised.
Right.
They said, the Honorable Apenjo Maki said, the E-levy will come when it will come. And so, on Tuesday, we were surprised. Truly.
But when you say you were surprised, I am surprised that you're saying you were surprised because all through there had been some hinting that the E-levy could be tabled at some point. You had said, and I agree, your minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, had said that you didn't want it to be done on your blind side, so to speak. You wanted to be fully aware of proceedings. But this is a game of politics, and your end has stymied the E-levy in Parliament. You've not made it possible for this administration to pass the E-levy, on the back of which they say they have had to face a lot of difficulties running the country. So in this instance, you've had your members in Parliament, your numbers, time and again, all of your 137 in Parliament. So what happened this time? You were caught napping then.
You see, Akakpo, you are guided. You are the morning show host. You have programs from Monday to Friday. I know you don't handle programs on weekends. So every day you know what you do. That's how Parliament works.
I actually do sometimes, but
I'm guided. But that's how Parliament works. That is why we have a business statement for every incoming week,
right,
to guide members. So if we know such important business like E-levy is not featuring, a member could afford to stay and attend an adoring, a visit to a sick person on a Tuesday morning before proceeding to Parliament. But when E-levy is featuring, he won't dare. He won't risk it. He will let the member know that I will come back to visit you, but for now I must return to Accra because of E-levy. E-levy wasn't on the menu. It wasn't on the menu for Tuesday, nor for Wednesday, nor for Thursday, nor for Friday. So as members of Parliament, we arrange our affairs according to the nature of business we have and the priority placed on them.
So you're saying this was unfair to you?
Exactly. Then two, I was also of the opinion that it has lost its agency status.
But that hadn't changed as far as, because it was presented under a certificate of urgency in Parliament.
But I'm saying that not having moved it from 20th December till 29th of March or 28th of March, it has lost that agency, that sense, that euphoria of agency surrounding it. So it wasn't a bill that was supposed to have been taken in a day. But somehow it was edged upon us as a house. So if you recall, I got up to even say that even the reports of the E-levy, we didn't have it. As at the time the chairman intended to move the report, we didn't have copies. So the speaker should defer that for about 30 minutes for members to peruse the report and be able to debate. That he didn't do, but eventually he gave us a 30 minutes recess.
Right.
Okay.
But you were merely trying to filibuster.
No.
You were just trying to protract it so that Jati Kwesen and others could make it.
At all.
It was just a filibuster.
No, at all. But I'm saying that if you read this, that the government decided to railroad the E-levy through on Tuesday. The same Tuesday that the same government knew that there are fixed court dates for two major cases concerning the same person in the High Court and the Supreme Court. How was that member going to, let me quote New Kwabena Boni of 1950 riots. He said, New Kwabena Boni here, New Kwabena Boni there. How do I divisible myself into twice? He was accused of leading all the riots in Adan, Swedru.
How could he have been in all those places at the same time?
Exactly. So, he wasn't well-educated.
But that's tactical politics, right? That's tactical politics.
I agree. Right. I agree that they played politics with us in terms of whittling down.
So maybe let me take out politics. That was strategy right there.
It wasn't strategy. Parliament is the most political institution in this country. It's only in Parliament, which is a public institution, that you enter on a ticket of a political party. And I tell people that in Parliament, there's nothing like non-partisanship. Everything is political.
Right.
Everything is politics.
Right. So we've extended the conversation. We're sort of getting into the E-levy, which I wanted us to hold on about. For now, I just wanted us to talk about our constituents, your constituents.
Yes, so my constituents were livid. They were angry. I tried to explain.
Right.
For instance, I tried to explain why we are in court. They don't even want to appreciate it. But I'm struggling to explain it to them that we can't pull cudgels, we can't put calluses. Indeed, the last time the majority were aggrieved, and they came back when they were still not certified. somebody went to court to have the matter settled.
Right.
We are dissatisfied. We are in court. Fortuitously, we filed.
Right.
So we should abide the outcome of the matter. The last time we fought, people didn't understand that we fought because of E-levy. When I told somebody yesterday, they said, oh, so the fight, was it because of E-levy? I said, yes.
All right. So in a nutshell, your constituents are displeased.
Yes.
About
that E-levy has passed.
Right. Were they displeased with you as a minority for walking out?
They didn't appreciate the strategy. But when you fed
So they were not happy?
They were not happy. They thought that we should have stood and get counted. It was immaterial whether we lost.
All right. That's good enough for now. I'll come to you, Dr. Nyako, shortly. But for those of you watching us, I just want to do this. So you can find the details on myjoyonline.com as well. But here are some of the things that the E-levy will cover. It appears in the midst of all this 4-month hiatus in dealing with the situation. We may have forgotten. This is what the breakdown means. Mobile money transfers between accounts on the same electronic money issuer will be affected. They will be covered. Mobile money transfers from an account on one EMI to a recipient on another EMI will be covered. Transfers from
EMI to our people.
Transfers from bank accounts to mobile money accounts. And I think it was mentioned that if you are the same person transacting, so I am sending from my own account, mobile money account to my bank account or vice versa, that will not be affected. But if I am sending from my bank account to Dr. Nyako's mobile money account, that will be affected. Transfers from mobile money accounts to bank accounts, and then vice versa, bank accounts to mobile money accounts. Bank transfers on a digital platform or application which originate from a bank account belonging to an individual to another individual. It will, however, not cover cumulative transfers of 100 cedis per day by the same person, up to 100 cedis, that's the cap. Transfers between accounts owned by the same person, like I've intimated. Transfers for the payment of taxes, fees, and charges on the Ghana.gov platform. So if you're operating on that platform, you make those transfers, they will not be affected. Electronic clearing of checks, specified merchant payments, that is payments to commercial establishments registered with the GRA for income tax and VAT purposes. And then transfers between principal, master agent, and agent's accounts, legally speaking. So those are the bits in there in terms of what will be affected or not. Coming to you on the back of this, what has been the reaction that you've gathered on the back of the passage of the E-levy?
So, mixed reactions, it is obvious. In this life, we don't think alike. Somebody said that if you all think alike, then it means somebody is not thinking. So we have differences in terms of opinions and our thoughts.
Right.
I don't expect everybody to accept a policy or an opinion. Okay, there should be diversities and divergence of opinions.
Right.
But what matters is that majority should always lead or carry us along. There are some people who are not happy with the passage of the E-levy, but there are a lot also who are happy about that. So for me, the bottom line is how do we ensure that the E-levy is managed efficiently and effectively to benefit our society and our individual selves. For me, that is the bottom line. With the disagreements, that is fair.
Right.
It is obvious, it is normal. But now that we've come to accept it, let us move along with that and see its consequential benefits on us. And incidentally or interestingly, the passage of the bill was the same day that the Black Stars also did us that miracle by qualifying us to the World Cup to be held in Qatar.
Right.
And if you realize, the victory sort of watered down some of the negative reactions towards the E-levy. So for me, I think it's a good omen. It came at the right time.
Right.
And I think that
a fortuitous moment, right? It all happened on the back of this, and it calmed people down.
It was the old man's birthday also. So for me, I think that the old man up there smiled at us on that day. And I want to plead with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that let us allow bygones to be bygones, and let us forge ahead and move on. At the end of the day,
by allowing bygones to be bygones, should they, for example, stop the process that they've initiated at the Supreme Court to get clarity on some of the standing orders? In fact, the Supreme Court ruled on some of these matters recently in terms of what number constitutes a quorum. And when you do the math, you would realize that you would get 137 points,
there's no half
3, 5, something like that. And there's no half a person. So it must be rounded up to 138. You did not have those numbers. I mean, we'll get into that detail. But when you say bygones, we should let bygones be bygones.
I mean, let us move on. You see,
do you feel? No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Do you feel they should just look? It has been passed. Let's get over it.
Yeah, that's my point. In the spirit of patriotism and the spirit of the betterment of this country, let us move on. Because of what has happened, I don't want to raise issues that will muddy the waters. But suffice me to say that, you remember when my colleagues allegedly rejected the budget. I think it was
rejected, not allegedly.
Okay.
You came to rescind.
Okay.
In fact, you moved.
Okay,
I think he's talking about the fact that, like it or not, it was later accepted.
No, it wasn't alleged.
So
you actually rescinded.
My brother,
okay, Roxanne, please allow Dr. Abbott.
Okay, please allow words. Keep your words. I keep my words.
No. But the words convey meaning.
You see, but the point I'm trying to make is that you realize that on that day, they didn't have the numbers, but they insisted that what they did was right. Do you remember? We told them that what they did was not right. They said it was right. They insisted in the face of the law, our standing orders and the constitutional provisions.
I get it. Let's come to this current situation.
No, let me answer properly.
Right.
Is it not ironic that the same people who earlier on had held on to that 137 as the right number to take that decision are now saying that what we did was wrong?
Do you find it hypocritical?
I want to choose my words carefully because of the situation that we found ourselves in. That's what I don't want to make. But you see, what happened on that day?
Okay,
I'm talking about the day we passed the E-levy on Tuesday.
Right.
They are talking about the numbers. But I remember, and he's aware, when Speaker put the question, some of their members were in the chamber. You see, because when Auna Idusu, my respected leader, was making his submission, he did say that when he was done, he will wait for the majority leader to make his submission before they exit. But as soon as he ended, he left.
Right.
And Chairman Sabonsu yielded his submission. Because he didn't. He should have concluded the debate. He didn't. So while they were leaving, he prompted the speaker to put the question. So he put the question when some of them were still in the chamber. But for the cameras, I suspect that some of them would have run. But for the cameras, they couldn't do that. So they were captured in the chamber when the question was put. And the eyes were vociferous. That's the point. So the decision time.
But the eyes would not have been more than the 130.
No, at that time it is between eyes and nose.
Right.
And
since there was no to respond.
But he has to prove to me
right
that what I'm saying is not true. I saw some of them
right
when the question was.
I get the point, and maybe we'll need visual evidence to back this.
So the number to make decision at that moment was there.
Okay, I just wanted to make the quick point that I don't think it is here or there, the point you make about the fact that they disputed the 137, or they felt 137 stood initially when it came to the budget's approval, and now they're saying it must be 138, because like it or not, if 137, that was quashed. Do you get it? So we're sticking to 138, and now they're saying you also can't shift goalposts. If 137 didn't work, you can't operate with that either. But your point is that some of their members were there. How do you respond? You have a quick rebuttal.
Yes. This is purely a legal matter. Our standing orders, Order 109, it says
and 109 has been popular.
Yes.
Very popular.
It's the most notorious. In fact, Order 48 used to be the most notorious. That's
right.
Quorum. But now it's 1091, sub 1. It says no question for decision in the House.
Right.
Shall be proposed for determination unless there are present in the House not less than 1/2 of all the members of the House.
Right.
And except otherwise provided in the Constitution, the question proposed shall be determined by the majority of the votes of the members present and voting. And the instructive phrase in this provision,
present and voting,
is present and voting. Not present and walking out.
Right.
Yes, not present and deciding that you won't participate. That's the law.
But you're present.
Do you think? No. I'll let you get into. I'll let you get into present and voting.
No, Akakpo. Our viewers, they listen to him.
Okay, you
so
go.
Let them listen to me.
Go ahead.
Where your majority leader, or where the leader of the caucus declares to Parliament that myself and my battalion will no longer associate with the matters on this matter going forward, that ends the power of any member being present and having an effect on the proceedings forward going. So if you recall, on the 26th of November, when the majority leader decided to walk out with his troops, Speaker did two things. First, he asked that the walkout be recorded. And two, he asked that the numbers of the members in the chamber be taken. Okay. When we walked out, majority leader was in a hurry and urged the speaker to put the question. And that was contrary to procedure.
Why do you say he was in a hurry? He was merely taking advantage of
No, you don't take advantage. No. There are some matters.
Because you were still on the floor.
He has used the walkout procedure of Parliament perhaps more than the minority leader has in their lifetime in the chamber. So he knows that when you tell the speaker that myself and my troops, my battalion, we are walking out is a process. You don't just vanish from the chamber. So proceeding stalls a bit. In fact, to assure order, you must allow the troops that are walking out a bit of time to walk out. I am not saying, look, on the 26th of November, the votes and proceedings shows that 274 members of Parliament were present. Was that not the case? Did the Supreme Court take that into consideration when they were ruling on issue 3? They did not. They rely on the actual number that was present and participated in the vote. So the phrase here is that present and voting. If I'm present, I'm not voting, you cannot count me.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Let me go to the Constitution.
No. He's making a point.
Yes. Let me go to the Constitution. It says that Constitution, Article 104, is the same provision that has been lifted in 109. Except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. So, if they claim that in the video evidence there were members who were leaving but their bags they were still on the floor and their bags were to the chamber, we were not participating in the proceedings, and it's been declared. So we'll leave this matter for the Supreme Court. That is why I am happy that we've gone to court. Our base should relax. Let the Supreme Court make a pronouncement. Whether the gavel falls on the left or on the right, it is the best way to determine the controversy in question.
It appears, though, that when it comes to the Supreme Court, you've not fared well
I've disagreed with the Supreme Court by my training.
You've practically won nothing that you've taken to the Supreme Court.
No, it's not correct.
It's when you look at the election. I'm saying you've practically. I didn't say you've.
Which is not correct.
Won nothing, but I'm saying that
which is not
you've
correct.
Practically won nothing that you've taken.
Which is not correct.
From the election petition in 2020 all the way to...
No. We've won some cases, we've lost some.
Which are the ones you've
won? Nobody ever wins everything.
Roxanne, which are the ones you've won since the election petition?
We won, since the election petition, which one? 2012?
Whatever you've tabled as far as the Supreme Court is
we've won
concerned.
A few cases.
I'm saying that practically you've won none of them.
No,
practically.
We've won some. We've had some pronouncements in our favor. We have judgments in our favor.
Which ones?
I won't sit here. I may not be able to state them clearly.
Okay.
But I'm aware. No, just for the record.
Right.
Just for the record that the NDC has taken some cases to court.
Right.
And won some.
All right.
Lost some.
Of course, I'm open to correction as well.
Exactly,
that's why I'm trying to.
I'll get those matters.
Sure, you can do that. Just to wrap before Dr. Kingsley Nyako comes in, I want you to.
But let me
as well.
I was going to.
It has to be brief because I want to find out.
I was going to wind out with the Supreme Court's own pronouncement on quorum. If we go to page 19,
I just read this paragraph.
No, I won't read the whole thing.
It's not different from
just the last paragraph. This is an exposition.
Please go ahead.
Yes. It says that, in effect, the framers of the Constitution place voting in Parliament on a higher order of importance or magnitude than debating. That's why Parliament can commence business and proceed to debate a matter as long as at least 1/3 of its members are in attendance. It cannot proceed to take a decision on a matter by vote unless and until at least 1/2 of all members are present. The higher quorum threshold for voting set at a minimum of half the membership of Parliament is designed to ensure that decisions of the House, which carry legal or legislative consequences, are not taken unless at least half of the members of Parliament is in attendance.
Right.
It is designed, in effect, to prevent a minority of the members of Parliament, not minority group, but just fewer members of Parliament, from proceeding to decide a matter with binding legal effect. What the Supreme Court is saying is that at all material times, and you see, I've heard them say that they didn't vote, they took a voice vote, but a voice vote is a form of a voting in Parliament. Voting doesn't mean to go and cast a small piece of paper in a box, but voice vote is a form of voting. So what they did amounted to voting. They didn't have the requisite numbers.
We did.
They had 136.
We did have some of
for the records. Adjoa Safo wasn't there. One other member, my friend, wasn't there.
About 10 of your guys
who wasn't there?
The member for Ahanta.
He's not
the minister for chieftains.
The chieftaincy affairs minister.
He's not
yes, he wasn't there.
And
so you didn't have the numbers. You had 136.
I think we should feel for him and his family.
Of course,
I don't want to bring him into this discussion.
We've been lawyers before we came to Parliament.
I totally respect that. I mean, many comments have been out there that have been
and it's so
very uncharitable, very uncharitable
comments. It can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Exactly.
So, you see, let me put two things across quickly. It is also possible that when my good friend and leader, Haruna Dusu, asked their members to work out, some of them didn't or were not even willing to do so.
No. That is not even a matter for debate in Parliament.
Wait. Because see,
don't make this argument.
Roxanne, let him make his point, and then we shall debate it.
Some of them could have done so reluctantly. Maybe that was the reason why they deterred when they were leaving. And again, it is also not instructive that the same Supreme Court ruling that my good friends rubbish.
We didn't rubbish. We criticize constructively.
Use uncharitable words. They are going to find solace in this same ruling. So my point is that we have to be very careful in this life.
So does it mean you shouldn't respect the rule?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
Please let him make his point.
You see, we shouldn't create the impression that we support a particular position when it suits us. And when it doesn't, then it is bad. We cannot have it our way all the time. Right. So we need to respect the positions and opinions of our state institutions. That's the point I want to put across.
Right.
But, you know, there's no need for us to contest over what has happened already. There were contestations regarding the E-levy for about 4 months. But now that it has been consummated, as I did say earlier on,
it actually hasn't, because we're still awaiting the assent of Mr. President.
Yeah,
that's the final step. I mean,
yeah.
who knows what could happen?
No.
And there's also the bit about taking the petition, in fact, which has been done at the Supreme Court. And so all of that, I don't even know. I mean, if the president does go ahead to give his assent, or would he be bogged down by the pending, decision that the Supreme Court would have to deliver? I'm just looking at a dynamic where should he go ahead to give his assent?
He can go ahead and do
the constitutionally, you can't injunct the process.
Yeah.
There
Right.
is still a legislative process.
Yeah. Right.
You cannot injunct the work of Parliament because Parliament will only abide by an outcome of a court of law.
Sure.
Right.
So, to the extent that the president is yet to give his assent, Supreme Court cannot even injunct him.
Right.
What they can do is to make pronouncement going forward. In fact, the Supreme Court has the power to strike down the whole legislation as being unconstitutional. They can do that.
Right.
In fact, they can also say that the processes, like we are praying the court, that the process that the House used in passing the bill into a law was fraught with unconstitutionality.
Which would then nullify what was done?
Yes, but they would direct that we should go back and correct that. They cannot say that it cannot be done. They will say that we should ensure that the proceedings that we adopt in passing the bill into a law is constitutional. It's in conformity with constitution.
What would that basically mean? It would mean that everything you did was illegal ab initio. And so you have to do it again? You have to do it again? Right.
Up to the point where the report was taken. Not when the bill was laid, it was constitutional. When the committee considered the report and brought its report, it was constitutional. So if you say ab initio, I meant
so
from the point where we disagreed,
right?
From the point where we disagree, if the Supreme Court finds favor with our argument, they would direct that we should go back and ensure that the proceedings going forward conforms with the Constitution. All that they will say is that we should do things in accordance with the Constitution.
Right.
Let me say this. You see, even in the law school, as students, a whole question can be set for you to criticize a Supreme Court decision. Everybody will be asked to criticize the decision. They will say, critique the decision. So by our training, we are taught to criticize the.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Right.
But you must do so constructively.
So what you're hinging, Dr. Nyako, what you're hinging your hopes on is the fact that you agree you did not have the numbers on the day. From your end, if we're counting your end, 136, you obviously did not have half of the quorum, right?
The requisite.
I just want that to be clear before I pose my question.
As far as I know, I think Adwa is the one that I don't know whether she's in the country, but I know that she's not available.
So that is as far as you know. He has gone ahead to say there were 136 of you instead of.
Oh, but yesterday I heard their ranking member for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku. I heard him on PCFM saying that we were 137.
Okay.
I heard him.
I guess because we've had problems even with the attendance sheet and all of that, where some people say they were present and others they were listed as absent.
In fact, the former majority leader, Kretus Avuka, who sits parallel to where the two deputy speakers.
But Roxy, you know that this thing happens all the time.
But there's ample opportunity for you to remedy.
Correct.
So we can move past that. That's not
prima facie.
You know.
So basically, I just want to clarify this. I just want to clarify this. So you admit you did not have, even if it is just your caucus in Parliament, you did not have the requisite numbers. What you're basing it on is the fact that some of them were lingering in Parliament, which then adds to the number for you to go ahead with the process.
What you read suggests that we should be at least 138 before we can take a decision based on Article 104 of the Constitution and Order 109 of
1091.
One of our standing orders. At the time the question was put, we were more than 138.
And how did you manage that? The fact that some of them were...
Yeah, they were there.
Okay, so,
so
that has been clarified.
You know,
that has been clarified.
What they should have done was that if they had issues... Ben, the minority strategy failed them. If they had waited and activated Order 113...
Yes.
But they were not there to...
So let's read Article 113 of the Constitution.
113 says that when the question has been put by Mr. Speaker at the conclusion of the debate, the vote shall be taken by voices, aye and no, provided that Mr. Speaker may, in his discretion, instead of declaring the result of the voice votes, call for a head count.
Right.
So they should have done that.
So 113 of the standing orders, just to clarify, points to the fact that, of course, when the voice vote is made and the Speaker can't determine, because it's a voice vote, aye, no. And if he can't say that this one necessarily is carrying the day, you would call for a head count, which then would have brought to bear the fact that you don't have the numbers.
The issue of
how do you respond to that?
In fact,
was that not a failure on your part?
No, it wasn't at all. In fact, by the decision that they got recently from the Supreme Court, even to take a voice vote, the Speaker ought to have the numbers checked. In my opinion.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
Right.
In my humble opinion. Because you see, there's no distinction between a voice vote as a means of voting and casting ballots as a means of voting. It's only an alternative. So for me, the clerk of parliament should advise the Speaker that even taking a voice vote on a matter pursuant to the Supreme Court decision, you must be certain of the numbers. It is only then that you can determine that the ayes
actually have it.
So if you're not there to raise this particular standing order, how do you say that we don't have
Dr. Nyako, Supreme Court decision is a decision in real. It's a decision to the whole world. You don't need notice.
Right.
You only have to abide.
Was that not a failure then on the part of...
At all.
No, hold on. I'm not saying the minority.
Okay.
Was that not a failure then on the part of the person who manages all these affairs?
Yes, you can direct... You can direct this. The clerk is the chief advisor to the Speaker on all matters.
Yeah, but the Speaker is supreme in Parliament.
No, the power to interpret the standing orders
is vested in him.
It is in the Speaker, but not the Constitution. So it is the duty of the clerk and counsel attached to his office to be advising the Speaker regarding the meaning and the interpretation or the consequences of a new Supreme Court decision.
Yes, but when you say that inherently it is vested in him to do the interpretation, he should also know...
No, interpretation of the rules,
right?
Not of the Constitution.
Right. So, but it's the same standing orders we're talking about.
No, the Supreme Court made pronouncement on the Constitution. And by that... actually is striking down a provision of 109, I think 109.3 or so. So the Supreme Court decision, you don't need notice. It becomes the law pursuant to Article 11 of the Constitution. It's become part of our laws. So you only have to abide.
Did not err.
For me, the clerk must advise that even a voice vote,
but there is greater responsibility. Yes, the clerk of parliament has his own role to play.
He was present.
But there is greater responsibility on the Speaker, the right honourable Speaker.
The Speaker is accustomed. No, the Speaker is accustomed to doing things in a certain way until a month ago when the Supreme Court says at any time that you want to vote on a matter, the only thing the Supreme Court failed to say is that a voice vote amounts to a vote. And in my humble opinion, a voice vote on any matter amounts to a vote. So even to effect amendments on provisions of a bill, it's a form of a decision.
You know, Ben.
Because we vote on amendments.
Quick interjection.
He's older than me when it comes to Parliament. What I've seen in Parliament is that in most cases, when there are issues, the clerk or any of them goes to the Speaker to have discussions with him. So the Speaker can disagree with what the clerk, and vice versa.
Right.
If you look at Order 5 of our standing order, it says that in case of doubt, this order shall be interpreted by Mr. Speaker as he deems fit. Okay, so
as he deems fit.
Yes, that is why I haven't relied on the standing order. I said Constitution.
So if the Speaker felt that what was being done on that day was wrong, he had the discretion to disallow that. Because I remember when Chairman Sabunsu, our leader, asked him to put out the question, he said that, so are you suggesting that you are yielding your opportunity to debate?
Your debating time.
Yeah, your debating time. He asked him, because it means that he knows what it was about. Then he said, yes, I yield. Okay, that was when he put the question. And Speaker also saw that there were remnants of our...
remnants?
There were some of our colleagues who were there. So he put the question.
We were
so
not
there's
there.
no doubt
we
about
were
that.
not there to participate.
The rules are clear.
We were filing out. How is the member filing out?
So of course, I get your point.
You see, what I'm pleading is that, as I said earlier on, there's no need for us to belabor this whole point.
But that's what you are doing.
Oh, no. Initially, I made that point.
That's what you are doing.
Initially...
Some of your members were on board yesterday.
The heckling is becoming...
No, I made that point
let's make
earlier
our
on.
point.
If you listen to me earlier on, I said that we should let bygones back. Remember?
Yes.
But because you brought some issues, at times I also have to bring clarity to what you say.
So
otherwise,
you're bringing your view.
Your point is clear, Dr. Nyako, and yours as well. But so what it boils down to is you feel that on the back of the fact that these other members of Parliament, though in disagreement, were on the floor of Parliament.
We were not on the floor.
They sort of legitimized this decision.
We were not on the floor.
Yes. You are going back. Was it the standing orders you were referring to when you spoke about, or it was the Constitution?
It was the Constitution.
Participating and voting.
In addition to the...
Which they were not. So that aspect of it, we shall leave to the apex court to determine, to give some understanding.
It's not every member who participates who votes. The catch is that you should... I mean, there are some who are there, but they don't vote.
Yes, but it says participating and voting. So all of those that are to be counted must be participating and voting.
Yeah, participating and voting.
These people clearly were not going to vote.
But they were in the chamber. They were present.
But we were not present. They were not going to vote.
If a member is filing out,
you contest that. I mean, they were walking out, so they were clearly not.
When you were filing out,
Roxanne, hold on. Even if you can couch it in the form of maybe they were. Even if you couch it in the sense that by being there, guys, hold on. Even if you couch it in the sense that by merely being there, they were participating. Let's even say that. Were they voting? Were they willing to vote? That's another aspect. But like I said, let's leave that to the courts. But the very bit about the speaker.
Yes.
Even when the motion was put forth, and knowing that your membership was walking out and all of that, and allowing this to go ahead, was that an error or not?
Well,
do you get what I'm saying?
I think that the speaker is also human. Some pressure was brought to bear on him by the majority leader, because it was uncustomary of the majority leader to not conclude a debate of this nature and suddenly erupt and say, I heard you to put the question now. I heard you to put the question now.
Yes, but the speaker can't be bullied. So
I agree.
He can't be forced to do anything.
I agree entirely with you, but this is in context. The last time they walked out, and let's place these matters in context. The last time they walked out, Speaker was very calm and actually did two things, like I mentioned. Demanded of the clerk to record the walkout as part of the procedure, legitimate, of course, and two, to give them time. It took them close to about 10 minutes. You know, they were riotous. They were shouting all sorts of invectives at Asiedu Nketia and all. So eventually, they emptied from the chamber. Then proceedings quieted down and Speaker proceeded.
Right.
Okay? They didn't extend those cases to the Speaker to allow us to exit, to disgorge from the chamber. He was in a hurry to have his pound of flesh. That I urge you to put the question now. I urge you. So we are saying if you put the question, the record will show that we were not there, we were not participating, we were not voting. So you had 136 members. So this matter, we have since yesterday sprung the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court into life.
But interestingly, I'll let you come in. I'll let you come in.
I beg you 1 second, just to clear something. Because when we were discussing the Article 104...
So quickly, let's get to it.
We were trying to talk about participating and all that. I can't find it here. It says, Article 1041, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting.
Thank you.
With at least half of all the members of Parliament present. So there's nothing like participating in this.
Present and voting.
Whether participating and voting or present and voting.
We have to be clear.
It's practically
clear on the face of the law.
So not just present, but voting. I mean, it goes back. That's why I even took out the bit about present or participating and voting. I segregated them.
No, you said participating. There's no participation.
But you can't forgive him for saying participating.
No, I want that to be clear. It is not there.
That was actually the terminology used by. But
if you are present,
you brought that one in.
I said present and voting. That's what I quoted.
Gentlemen, there's no need to banter. There's no need to banter.
That is why I quoted.
There's no need to banter.
There's no participation. There's no participation.
Roxanne,
I never said participation.
The deputy majority leader.
Yes.
Deputy majority leader. He has said that this entire thing you're doing, pursuing at the Supreme Court, is dead on arrival.
Okay.
And you shouldn't even be wasting your time.
Okay.
Why are you, so to speak, wasting your time?
We are not. And you see, it's unfortunate any time the NDC decides to engage the court on a litigious matter, the majority will say things like this and rubbish the matter. It's unfortunate. They went to court. Nobody rubbished whatever they took to court. A decision has come.
Is that in itself, very, very quickly, I'm sorry I have to come in, but we've seen a few instances where this has happened, even on the back of the E-levy and the last ruling by the Supreme Court. Do you feel, does that constitute contempt of the court in any way, in terms of how sometimes we hear some of these comments, which some say could affect the decisions of the court?
Because
they're basically saying that
as trained lawyers,
in essence, the Supreme Court should also throw this out because it's of no consequence.
You see, as trained lawyers, you can describe your opponent's case as having no basis in law. In fact, some of the opposing arguments you can make is one of those. That the argument, the case is baseless.
It's not grounded in law.
Exactly. So the case should dismiss, the court should dismiss it. Lawyers can say that. But politically speaking, when you leave Parliament, yesterday he was on the floor saying that going forward we should build consensus, we should let bygones be bygones and all. Then you come onto Joy FM and make these sort of statements that we are wasting our time and all that. You are incurring the wrath of the minority. What you could say as the leader of the House, in fact, the third most powerful, I see him as the third most powerful, aside from the minority leader. The deputy majority leader is the third most powerful in terms of membership of the House. What I thought he ought to have said is that he has received notice that the minority have taken this matter to the Supreme Court. And so he thinks that we'll leave the matter for the Supreme Court to determine.
Right.
But in the meantime, he wants to aid the minority for us to move forward with building consensus until the matter is determined on its merits. That is a leader who is seeking to hold the House together.
So as we talk about consensus, that's how
that's how he ought to have spoken.
Right.
But if you come and say that we don't have any case and that we are wasting our time, you are incensing the other half.
You disagree?
Oh, but I mean, to some extent, I wouldn't deviate from what he said, but this shouldn't constitute a ground for not building consensus. It shouldn't, you know what I mean? You shouldn't say that because he said this. Our colleagues, what I've seen about them is that anytime you say something that goes against them a bit, then they're saying that, you breach trust and all that. For me, I think we shouldn't go to that.
Has the majority breached trust? I mean, it's becoming a fabric or a pattern in the fabric. I've had Sam George sit here say that you in the majority, you say one thing, you do another thing. I've had Al Hassan Suini, Murtala, Honorable Murtala.
It's because
talk about on the E-levy. They have said that even in terms of the percentage and some of what was peddled at a point that the minority leader came and said, decisions were made about figures and all of that. Then you come on the floor and different things are said. That's an example. So they keep saying that
in negotiation,
keep shifting the goalposts, and that doesn't work well for
in negotiations.
For, the work of Parliament.
If you make a proposal, you don't expect that proposal to be accepted in total. There could be variation.
Right.
The fact that I need something from you doesn't mean that at all material moments I should be at a beck and call.
Right.
I mean, that shouldn't be the premises for any meaningful engagement. We need to be compromising here and there. But that reframe, that if you say something, you undermine trust. I mean, you've undermine cooperation. That shouldn't be accepted within the jurisdiction of what we are trying to achieve mutually. You know what I mean?
Let me borrow his submission and put it back to him that in the same way when you brought E-levy as a proposal and we objected to it, in negotiations, your way ought not to be the way all the time. And yet you bastardized us.
No, we came down.
How did you come down?
No, at least what we have all agreed to is...
How did you come down?
It's 1.5%. But their counter offer, if you look at our...
I like the way you're weaving in the legal terms.
If you look at the other paper that we look at on Tuesday, they are indicated
zero rated tax.
Zero.
Yeah, zero rated tax.
Zero.
Yes.
We are saying at least.
So I'm borrowing your argument to counter.
At least give some figure. You don't give zero.
I want us to wrap on
zero is outright rejection.
2 quick points on the E-levy, and then we can move on. Your General Secretary, Esiedun Ketia, has said that and he himself, a former member of Parliament, long-standing member of Parliament, has said that the office of the Clerk of Parliament has been compromised on the back of some of the things we've seen in terms of attendance and all of that. Is that a position you agree with?
To the extent that it is glaring on the face of the record.
Is this the first time this is happening?
No, not at all. Not at all. But he has his basis for saying so. You see, but he buttressed it with another very, very important omission, which was the fact that on every order paper, the yellow one is the order paper, the green one is the votes and proceedings. In the votes and proceedings, out of 9 members who were listed to have been absent on Tuesday, 8 are NDC members, and they were all present in the chamber. Now he says that on the order paper, a very important item, which is the correction of votes, which features at number 4, it's customary. You see, this template, it never changes on the computer.
Right.
This order paper, it's a template. They never change it. What they change is the order of the sitting number. So this is for the 31st sitting of the first meeting of Parliament. So if they go to Friday, 18th March, what you see is that for the 32nd sitting of Parliament, those are the only things that they change. But the correction of votes, which is the item number 4, which is perpetual, got deleted. So on the day that the president came to the house, yesterday, for us to do business, when the order paper was printed, there was no place for correction of votes. For the anomalies in the correction of votes for Tuesday's sitting to have
So to put it succinctly, what do you agree with what Esiedun
says? On these 2 bases,
is the Clerk of Parliament acting incompetently?
No. I'm tempted to believe what he says because he's canvassed 2 grounds, 2 very strong grounds. Okay. Now, I want to give the clerk the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
That perhaps, given the exigencies, he could have left the correction of votes and proceedings as an item, but the Speaker has the discretion like he did yesterday. In fact, minus this featuring yesterday, the Speaker could have directed that we still correct the votes.
Right.
And when it appears to, Speaker could have directed that we'll overlook it.
But he didn't.
Today, but he didn't. No, but so he actually did. Even though he was absent, Speaker said, we'll correct the votes and proceedings today.
Right.
Okay. So I want to give the clerk the benefit of the doubt that even if that's the perception from my General Secretary going forward, they should amend their ways.
So that is not your perception.
That's not my perception.
Right.
You know,
let's. We can't. It's been a protracted issue. No. We're not staying on that matter, Dr. Nyako.
No, a quick one.
We have to wrap on the E-levy.
A quick one.
30 seconds.
You know, he knows. I'm one of the active members who normally correct the votes and proceedings. Okay. Yesterday, when I got there, I went through the votes and proceedings. Then later, I saw that it was not captured on the other paper. And my initial instinct was that, is it because the pen was coming?
Ceremony.
Yeah, so that was what came to mind. Because whether it was there or not, we will still correct it. And in terms of the absentees, it happens. At times, you'll be there, you'll be marked absent. Because when you go there, you have to go to the tables, the tables of
the table office.
Yeah, to sign, or they bring it to you. Some of our members at times do forget, so they don't sign. So this is something that normally happens. So for the General Secretary to impute wrong motives into, the clerk's behavior, for me, was quite unfair and undermining, especially when he sits on the Parliamentary Service Board. So on 30th November, what happened that we said was an illegality? Why didn't he condemn him? Why didn't he condemn him?
To what?
That what happened was not right, because we felt it was not right. We could have also ascribed motives, wrong motives into his behavior.
No, what wasn't right?
I said earlier on that when it suits us,
what wasn't
okay.
right on
when it goes against us. So,
of November.
and if you watch General Mosquito,
Roxanne, hold it.
if you watch him, anytime decisions go against his political party, he bastardizes.
No.
You know what I mean? And for me, that is
no,
not right. He's a senior person.
I will not allow Dr. Nyako.
He's a senior person in politics.
Let him make his. No. Roxanne. Roxanne.
We are not talking about any other.
Let him make his point.
No.
He merely differs in opinion. Let him make his point. You can come back and let him make his point.
He's a respected person in our politics. He has such a pedigree. I think he has been a third-time member of parliament,
right?
A minister of state. He commands respect.
He's one of the members of the board, one of the boards.
Parliamentary Service Board. He's on it.
Right.
So he's huge, and people of such caliber, I will plead with them to be guided in terms of their public authority.
Do you feel it was unfortunate, with all his experience? Do you feel it's unfortunate that he could have
avoided that? Remember, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He said that if the deputy speakers decide to vote, you have the right to hit them or beat them. You know what I mean? You don't make these comments. You know what I mean? As an astute politician, we have a country to protect. The soul of this country must be kept intact. One day they might come to power, and the same institutions that you are bastardizing, how do you even work with them? And this should be an admonishment for all political actors that we have to be measured when it comes to our pronouncement. A decision might go in your favor today. Somebody might err in error. The person errs in error. You need to engage the person and find out why that error occurred. Okay. Than to just assume that the person was being mischievous or diabolic.
Now, to wrap on this E-levy bit, if we keep going like this, we'll not exhaust the matters.
You allow them on.
Roxanne, we keep.
Friend,
if we do this, the conversation would be stale.
But what you are saying doesn't bother
the point is also made on this E-levy end. The point is also made by the director for the Statistical, Social and Economic Research Institute, basically ISA. Professor Peter Quartey, that this 1%, 1.5% on the E-levy will drive e-transaction consumers away. I've seen people on social media, prominent people, ordinary people say, I'm going to transact with cash. I'm going to, send 100 CDs, 100 that way. Looking at the experience of other countries, the Ugandas, the Kenyas, the Tanzanias and others who have gone down this route in some way, the Cameroons and others, and suffered, some of them over 50% drops in e-transactions. What do you foresee? Do you feel this is legitimate? Do you feel you might be chewing the shorter end of the stick? Because yes, you've imposed the levy, but there are ways around it.
Yeah, of course, the E-levy is not an imposition. It's an optional policy intervention. So you can decide to use it or not. But the bottom line is that I suspect that the initial implementation will come with some challenges in Asia. Some will be cynical about it, okay? But with time, I'm persuaded that the larger society will buy into it. It's also about comfort. It's also about convenience. Do you want to transact business cash with its intended and unintended consequences? You can lose the money. Thieves can take your money away. The monies can get stolen. Okay, but if you have money on your phone and all that, the safety and the security and all that. So people will be looking at the options. By the time, if things work well, most Ghanaians will accept it. And again, I think that as pertains with any policy intervention, we need to watch it. We need to monitor it. And where there are lacunas, we should be able to see how we can address them. And for me, that is very important. There will be issues, obviously. But those issues, when they are, for example, if we see that the volume of mobile money transaction is gone down for a very long time, then there should be a swift response to avert that.
Where the swift response could be what? Reducing the percentage, for example?
No, it depends on what is necessitating, the issues. Okay, if you identify what is causing that, then you quickly come in and address it. If it's about the margins, you have to respond to it. If it's about some cynicism, you need to find a way.
Quickly, you have the final bite. 1 minute.
Yeah,
1 minute.
no,
We have to
2
go.
minutes.
No. I'm moderating. 1 minute. We have to go.
One, it is most incorrect for Dr. Nyakun to say that the E-levy is not an imposition. It's a tax. It's an imposition. It is as saying that no, it's not a choice.
Please, no further heading.
It's as saying that payee is not an imposition, so it's a choice. So, Mr. Akakpo, leave Joy FM and go and stay at home so that you don't pay payee on your salary. It's as saying that if I want to go and buy petrol, the taxes that I'll pay when I buy petrol is a choice, and therefore I should leave my vehicle and stay at home. It's as if that the VAT that I will pay when I buy provisions for my child to go to school is a choice, and therefore I shouldn't buy the things for my child. It's an imposition. They are saying that when you engage in it, you pay.
Right.
There's no option for you.
And you don't.
So, no, how are you saying that? Look, stadium. The Kumasi.
Is that your final point?
Hold on. 30,000 tickets were sold through e-process when Black Star fans went to stadium.
Some were 30 Ghana.
Thank you.
Do you pay
hold
E-levy on it?
By E-levy, you are going to pay when you buy
30 Ghana.
When you buy tickets to go to stadium. Do you know how many people buy tickets for adults?
You are making different variables.
No, it's not a different variable. That is the wrongful assumption underlying E-levy.
All right, gentlemen.
So clearly E-levy is an imposition.
E-levy
is of deleterious consequences to our economic transactions.
You decide to
You're asking people. Now you can't travel on an airline by going with a paper ticket.
Right.
Won't you pay E-levy when you go online and buy the ticket? So why are you saying that it's not an imposition?
All right, gentlemen. So I would have to say thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nyako. Thank you, Dr. Nyako. Thank you.
You are asking people to carry less cash. You are talking about cashless economy.
These two joined us for the conversation, our big stories. It's heated here in the studio, but you can pardon them for that. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamako, Member of Parliament for South Dai, and Dr. Kingsley Nyako, Member of Parliament for Kwada. So they both joined us. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. Let's now talk about something rather interesting, very interesting. I will be telling you about that shortly. It's about Africa to the Rest Symposium, A2R. It's a movement that desires to show that the notion of Africans as missionaries to the unreached, unevangelized, and unchurched world actually is what we're seeing. Africa to the Rest is a wake-up call for all of God's people of Africa to arise to the new era of African missions. We'll be telling you more about that as we are joined by Dr. Yaw Pebby. He's an author, Africa to the Rest. There's also Nanaba Adogla, member, Africa to the Rest. Dr. Yaw Pebby, Nanaba, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Did I get your surname correct?
Yes, you did.
Adogla.
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 Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll start from there. Now, Africa, as we know it, is the most Christian continent in the world today. Of course, we can look at that because just as I mentioned that, I also thought about South America,
yes,
a place I've been to, and some populations are like 90+%,
yes,
Christian and all of that. But Africa, as we know it, we've been very Christianized. Will this be just a passing moment or movement, A2R?
Wow, that's a great question. First of all, thanks for having us in the studios. I'm, of course, obviously excited about
I can tell
about this
you're
moment.
oozing excitement
about this moment. I train as a medical doctor, but since 2009, I have been really at the forefront of global missions, 45 countries sharing the good news about Jesus Christ. But what excites me most is that 100 years ago, Africa was considered the heathen, the dark continent. 100 years ago, there were barely 9 million Christians in Africa. As we speak now, there are about 630 million. And since 2018, Africa has had more Christians than any other continent. Now, we can talk later about, the quality of those Christians or not. That's another conversation. But for now,
for quantity.
But for now, it is worth celebrating because, in fact, and not just that, it's projected that by 2050, there will be more Christians in Africa than the next two continents combined. That is Latin America, which you just mentioned, and Asia combined.
Wow.
And that is serious. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that that is an opportunity to impact the rest of the world with this transformational gospel. And like I was mentioning to you before we got on set, a lot of people again don't realize that in the first 300 years of the church, by the way, people forget it's an African who helped Jesus to carry his cross, Simon of Libya. People forget that it was in Africa Jesus himself was kept when, Herod wanted to get him. And so out of Egypt, out of Africa, I called my son. In scripture we see Africa. In Jesus' life we see Africa. In the early church, Acts chapter 13, while they were worshiping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, "Set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I've called them." Two of the guys who placed their hands on Saul to commission him were from Africa. One of them was called Simeon Black, Simeon Niger. So the notion that this is a white man's religion, etc., needs to be totally debunked. St. Augustine was from Algeria. The guy who gave us the word Trinity, Tertullian, was from Tunisia. The ancient Egyptian desert fathers and all of that. In fact, the Old Testament was translated in Africa, to Greek. So we have a rich heritage. And so we say Africa to the rest, but the subtitle is From Mission Field to Mission Force Again. And so will our generation also rise and affect the rest of the world like they did in the first 300 years? That's what this movement is about.
I have heard, and I want to broaden the conversation we're having. I've heard people say, I am not willing to worship a white-skinned, blue-eyed Jesus. And technically, Jesus was not white-skinned and blue-eyed where he was born. And I think God really, yes, he is the supreme architect, but the thinking that went into it, I'm sure Africans would have claimed Jesus and said, "Oh, he's black, he's one of us." The Western world would have said, "Oh, he's white." But the region in which he was born, they are neither white nor black. They are somewhere in between. The eye color is, so sometimes it gets a bit, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there. But the point to be made is, Africa is not a dark continent.
No, it's actually the hope of the world right now.
Right.
Yeah, just like God did in the first century, he's hiding his church in Africa again.
Let me come to you, Nanaba. What is this movement about? So Africa to the rest, and we have this book as well by Dr. Yao Perby. But what is this movement about, Africa to the rest? What do you seek to do, to achieve with it?
So Africa to the rest, as the name suggests, is talking about getting Africans, we the young, because we're also the young population in terms of the continent. We have the youngest. So what do you do with all that energy? What do you do with the word of God that you have imbibed? Making sure that we are able to focus and move as a group. A lot of people, we know there are lots of Christian organizations, there are missions organizations doing their little bit, but I think it's high time we move away from doing our little bit to join forces, to work together to ensure that we are really working as the Word of God calls us to. We are really moving
in fulfillment of the divine commission.
Exactly, to be able to impact more than we are doing right now. I mean, people have done their part, people have been able to impact in various ways, but we believe that this is the time for us to mobilize. Mobilization is key. And also to celebrate the fact that the Christian continent of Africa is growing, and it would grow even more. So what does that mean? After celebrating, what do? We also have to impact the world for people to truly understand that we are truly the most Christian populous continent on the world, in the world, yes.
So I see that you're seeking to build Christian communities, community-related, groupings.
Yes.
How exactly are you seeking to do that?
So to have movement, it's great to have little pockets that coalesce to have that happen. So we're looking at 4 main ways. Number one is joining through social media. Social media is our printing press in our generation. That's a new technology that's changing everything. And so the first thing was that we encourage people to join Africa to the Rest on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on all the social YouTube channel. That's one way, because then we can keep talking, we can keep having conversations, sharing facts and things like that. Then secondly, so those are the 4 S's. So that's the social media groups. Then what we call supplication groups, people who pray. This is not just a social movement. This is a spiritual movement. So it cannot happen without prayer. So we encourage people to get into groups we call high 5 groups. Get a group of 5 people together, and pray towards, this mission. Because in as much as this is the most Christian continent, even in Ghana, we still have 20 people groups or tribes we consider unreached. That is 2% or less, Christian. And then number 3 groups, we call them study groups. So there are, all the chapters in this book have questions that people can actually study, so that it's not just reading and putting away, but actually to discuss. So that's and then the 4th is support groups. People who actually come together and actually put money together and say, we're supporting this person to go to this tribe or to translate the Bible or to go to this country, etc. I really have a lot of hope, particularly for our international students. I used to be a United Nations peacekeeper when I was with the military hospital, and those are all opportunities for us to go to these other places in the world and make an impact, because the gospel is good news. That's what it literally means. And it transforms. It changes lives, it changed my life, and it changes nations. It's unfortunate that, and I've lived in Canada for the last 12 years or so, it's unfortunate that countries in the West are backtracking on this gospel that transformed them.
Right.
But I have hope for us, because now that we have
go to churches in Western Europe, for example, now,
that's right.
and they're literally going empty.
That's right. But that's the interesting thing, because a lot of the largest churches in Europe now are pastored by Africans. Like there's one in Kiev, Lord have mercy on Kiev, which is pastored by Sunday and Deleja. It's the largest church in Ukraine, 99% Ukrainians, and it's pastored by a Nigerian. Actually, the most multinational church in the world. 108 nationalities. It's pastored by a Ghanaian, Samawusu. Large mission organizations in the world, SIM, SIL, Navigators, etc., are led now by Africans. So it really is our time. And I hope that we will. For me, it's like there's good news from Africa. Finally. No, seriously. Yes.
Supplications, studies, sending, and spending.
Yes, I like the word spending. But social media.
Right.
Yeah.
I know Dr. Yao Perby is here, and I know Sam Ngugi also. I mean, both of you co-authored this book. I would like Nanaba to tell us a bit about The authors, tell us a bit about. I don't want him talking about
that's fine.
himself. So tell us a bit about the authors.
Okay, so yeah, we have Dr. Yauperbi and Sam Ngugi who met.
And the name Ngugi though brings to mind Ngugi Wathiongo.
Yeah, he's Kenyan.
The Kenyan
Yeah,
author,
he's Kenyan as well. Yeah, so another Kenyan author. They met at a missions movement training that was in Germany?
In Brazil.
In Brazil, yes. And of course, this book had been, Dr. Perby had started the book, but based on what they were talking about, radical collaborations to move the word of God, they came together to decide to continue this book, to research it thoroughly, to ensure that everything in there is it's true, essentially, to ensure that we have, it's Africa, so it's not just a Ghanaian perspective, you know, so being able to bring all the different perspectives of African missionaries and missions together, they were able to work on this. I mean, I've heard stories about sleepless nights, and especially even in the COVID era, you know, online and all these things, but this has brought about a brotherhood. They are so close. We were talking this morning. He met them. They started with meeting their wife first, but now they have the men have become, you know, the brothers. And this it's the passion that they have. It's incredible.
Right.
And it reflects in the information that has been put in there.
Dr. Perby, very briefly, what can you say about Sam Ngugi? Since you are here,
Yes.
I would have you say just a few words about Sam.
So Sam, talking about the transformational power of the gospel, Sam's life was transformed in college when he encountered the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he then decided that he was going to give his life to letting others know about this and to mobilize, to get other Christians to be interested in the mission of God. And so he, together with his wife, Harriet, have formed an indigenous mission organization in Kenya called MCN, Missions Campaign Network, and another one called Gen 12 that trains young people to be missionaries and sends them to the least reached, the least developed places in Kenya and around the world.
Right.
Yes.
So quite a partnership.
Yes. So we have an Accra launch tonight, but there's also an East African launch,
right,
you know, in early May.
So I'll have you tell us about that. I know 6:30 p.m. GMT, today.
Yep.
We're having that at the Legon Interdenominational Church. Yes. But before we get into that, I'd like to find out. This came to mind as we started the conversation. Sometimes people will tell you, yes, Africa is that religious, that Christian. It seems to be growing here, but we're not seeing it reflecting on the continent. In terms of leadership, we've had a lot of Christian leaders. What have they contributed? Yes. And in terms of development, in a minute, what can you say to that?
Yes, it's a fair accusation, and we address it in this book. We address it. There's a chapter we call persistent problems. We address that here, and I think it's largely because, and for those there's the gospel of salvation, right? That we are sinners in need of salvation, and Jesus Christ came to die for us, and we believe in him and we are saved. But that does not end it. There's the gospel of the kingdom. Why? Because God wants to establish his rule, his good governance, you know, through our leadership, through our giftings, through our talent, to establish his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Many of us have stuck with the gospel of salvation. Oh, I'm giving my life to Christ, and that's it. Without realizing, it's like getting so obsessed about the wedding and missing the marriage. Right. All right. So we've stepped into the kingdom because we have salvation, but we have not seen
maybe
the realization of the kingdom of God.
Right.
So we are stuck with the gospel of salvation, and I've not done enough about the gospel of the kingdom. Because when you look at what Jesus said about the gospel of the kingdom, he said the prisoners will be free, the blind will see, the deaf will hear. There's transformation when the gospel comes. And so I'll say that for now, it's a good thing that people are aligning to the Christian faith. We have all these numbers, but I think the next phase is to go deep, because this situation of Christianity in Africa being 1,000 miles long and half an inch deep, it's got to change. I think it's a matter of time. If we give ourselves the next 10, 20 years and deepen our discipleship, we will see the continent transform. It's happened in Europe. Europe was called barbaric.
Right.
You know, it will happen here.
Okay.
Yes.
Nanaba, so to wrap, the launch here in Ghana. Of course, it's happening today. Tell us a bit about that. And maybe for those who just might find themselves in Kenya at some point, you can sneak in the bit about when the Kenya launch will also happen.
Okay, so yes, we do have our launch this evening at the Legon Interdenominational Church at 6:30 prompt. We have persons like Apostle JFK Mensah, who would be reviewing the book. We also have Nanayao Ofe Wuku also reviewing the book. We have Reverend Kinsley Kwesi, who would also be there. So we are really mobilizing men and women of God to impact this. This is just the launch. It's a movement, it's not an event. So this is just the beginning, and we hope everyone else comes on board to support in whichever way they can to make this movement strong. And then next month, or early May, we have our East African launch in Nairobi. Yeah.
Right. You left one of my favorite parts. My grandfather, Professor G.H. Nkiti, wrote a song in 1940 called Adanse Kron Kron.
The Professor Nkiti, yeah.
That's my mother's father.
Right.
And this Adanse Kron Kron basically is that this divine testimony, this gospel will be preached to the ends of the earth.
Right.
And I get goosebumps even saying this, that has made its way into page 47 of this book and will be sung tonight by the Gramophone Ghana Chorale. I'm lost for words that we get to do this from generation to generation until the earth is filled with the glory of the knowledge of God and with the knowledge of the glory of God as the waters cover the sea.
It doesn't get any better. So tonight at the Legon Interdenominational Church, 6:30 is going down. Africa to the rest of the world. Join them, be a participant. Can anybody attend?
It's open to everybody. Anybody can walk in, yes.
So I can walk in.
Streaming.
Right. I can walk in, and so can the rest of you out there. Dr. Yao Pebi.
Join the movement.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And of course, Nanaba Adoglan. Also a member of Africa to the rest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Right.
All right.
And that is how we wrap this morning, Thursday morning, on the AM show. It's been a pleasure. Do stay with us for the rest of our programming. Our major news bulletins at 10 and at noon. And of course, tomorrow, as we connect with you for the Friday edition of the AM show. Have a lovely day.